What's good, people? Welcome back to another episode here. So, I did an interview very recently with a close friend of mine that is going to be an engineer at Coinbase, and we talked a lot about cryptocurrency and blockchain projects that are very exciting for people to look into. And the video was very, very long, so it was about an hour long, and basically got some feedback from some people to cut it down into some bite-sized pieces. So, basically, this is what this video is. It's going to be just a clip and highlight from what we talked about, where we focus on a specific project, so it's easier for people to digest. So let's get right into it today.
Next coin, I'd say Ethereum for sure. So Ethereum has been making big improvements in their protocol. Now they're moving on to proof of stake instead of proof of work. Basically, you always hear about computers in the world crunching up numbers using electricity to guess some kind of number. And once they've guessed that number, they get rewards in Bitcoin. Right. So that whole process is called proof of work. And that's what traditionally all cryptocurrencies use. And now Ethereum is moving on to something called proof of stake. Proof of stake eliminates miners with computational power whatsoever. I know, like, you've always probably heard on the news, oh, Bitcoin takes so much energy to run, and all that. And so Ethereum with their proof of stake protocol is really going to solve that. It's also going to lower the fees for the transaction fees, which have been a huge problem lately. Like, they have like NFTs, if you've heard of those, just basically are transferring digital ownership around. And like, while you're doing that, you want to make sure you're on a platform that has very low transaction fees. And so proof of stake, once Ethereum has fully implemented that and put it out there, they're doing it in stages. And by the end of the year, I believe it should be up. You could potentially see a lot of gains there. So
that's huge.
Ethereum is a bit different than Bitcoin. Well, very different in that you can with smart contracts. So smart contracts you can basically think about as like programs that live on top of the blockchain, and you can communicate with those programs to facilitate autonomous I'd say governance, or for example, an escrow system where if you have Toby and me, we want to make a transaction, but we don't trust each other. So in the real world, we would go to a third party that we both trust, and in order to make the transaction, we'd first take my money, give it to the third party. Toby would give his money to the third party, and then he would make the exchange happen.
Right.
But with smart contracts, for example, you could easily trust, because the blockchain is permanent, it's censorship resistant, it's immutable. I would send money to the smart contract, Toby would send money to the smart contract, and right when both of us have sent the money, it would just transact it on both sides.
And it takes away the middleman, right?
It takes away the middleman. So that's what there have been a lot of like decentralized apps, dApps, that's what they're called, that have been built using Ethereum that haven't been utilized as much because of the high transaction fees. And once the system has moved to proof of stake, once the potential of, I think, the space would be realized, because Ethereum has so many developers right now, Solidity developers. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think there are enough blockchain developers, but if you look at all of the blockchain developers in the world, most of them are working with Solidity and Ethereum. And so they already have a huge development community. They already have a lot of projects out there that just are waiting to be utilized, just are waiting to be run on something that's faster and goes with less fees. So I think huge. And also, like, there are also proof of stake. The whole thing behind that is staking. So you, by staking your coins, by taking your coins that you own, Ethereum you own, and locking it up in a wallet or giving it to a validator node, you will earn rewards back in Ethereum. So
How high could these rewards go potentially?
I think right now, if you do it with Coinbase, it's like they're doing 5 to 6%. That's like the general or the standard right now that I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Keep in mind
I'm
that
not.
your savings account gives you 1% a year. So 6%, that's 6 times what your savings account will give you.
Exactly. No, that's very true. And also, like, if you believe in Ethereum to be a big part of our lives in the future, like accumulating 6% now, the dollar value of that later would be an insane amount. So yeah, and you compound this. That's the power of compounding. Like people don't realize until they actually like see the numbers or see a graph and in front of them, because our minds don't think in that way. So
We're
we can
very
do it.
sighted a lot of times. Like
Yeah.
I personally am too victim to this. When I look at graphs, especially when it comes to investments, a lot of people focus on the 1 month, 2 month, 3 months. But what really the winners, what I've seen is the winners really they look at the 1 year, the not even the 1 year, the 5 year, 10 year, 15 year horizon, the bigger picture, kind of zooming out and seeing, how is this thing going to move in the long term. So that I think that's huge. Ethereum, honestly, I believe has huge potential. I'm not too familiar with the technology, but just the fact that a bunch of applications are being able to be run on top of it, where it makes it easier to use for people to transact, for people to just live on this blockchain as well. It makes it really interesting. Like a lot could come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I know we've talked about this one coin, and you mentioned proof of stake, and you also mentioned high fees, and along those lines, I was what are some solutions for high fees out there that potentially, because I know there's another technology out there, proof of history, and how does that kind of tie into valuable cryptocurrency that could be in the market?
Yeah, of course. Which leads me perfectly to my third pick.